many more episodes which show that in order to be good American, the stronger you are in your defending your right to be a faithful Christian, or to be Irish American, or to be Italian American, or to be a Jewish American, the more American you are. That's the part of American identity, this tolerance and sharing of the space, understanding that strong identities of the others is not danger to you. Now, together with this, there is of course assimilation, and we Jews are American and so on. That's another factor. That's already our problem. That's also part from my book is, I didn't speak in this audience about it, but to a great extent to those Jews who, especially at the age of when they go to campus, have to decide why to be part of your tribe. Isn't it better to be part of the big role? So that's another problem, but we also have, I think, we have very good arguments how you can solve to the world by being good Jew. But this difference between American and European mentality, which you can watch through centuries, you see, it's something very deep and very principled. And I think Americans should cherish it and should not permit to this liberal atmosphere of campuses to turn America into Europe, because then really the civilization would be in big danger.
America is also unique in that its identity and the principle of freedom are bound together. America is the only country in the world that's willing to go to war for freedom and die for it.
Well, speaking about, you say that Lutheran will turn to the evangelist. I'm not such a big specialist how they will turn onto the other, but I can tell you one thing. Go to any synagogue in Europe on Shabbat and it's empty. Go to any church in Europe on Sunday and it's empty. Except from tourists. The only places which are full are mosques. Now go to any synagogue on Shabbat in Israel and it's full. And I live in a secular area where there are hundreds of synagogues and every step they're all full of Shabbat. Go to churches in America on Sunday, they're full. You find out that the only two full-fledged democracies where the synagogues and churches are full are America and Israel. That's something not accidental. When we're speaking about mutual values between America and Israel, usually we ask what is this mutual value of democracy. But France is also democratic, and Italy is democratic. The only countries where politicians speak the language of patriotism and the language of religion are America and Israel.
I guess I would be interested to get your perspective of the prognosis of politics in Israel at the moment. It seems, at least from American perspective, Prime Minister Olmert is in trouble every day with either a scandal or some silly decision. Do you think he will remain in power? And if there are elections, who do you think will win?
Well, the Prime Minister is in trouble. That's his personal problem, his personal trouble. But people of Israel are in trouble because of this. That's much more serious. I think we really reached very high level of corruption. I mean, corruption physical, corruption political, moral. And I was leaving the count in my last speech in Knesset. I said that the thing, I spoke about many positive things, but the most negative phenomenon which I discovered for 10 years of being in the government was that there can be ministers sitting near me telling me that this proposal which is brought now on the discussion is suicide for Israel, and then are voting for this suicide because that's what guarantees them state power. There are of course other ministers who vote like this because they believe in it. I don't have a problem with the fact that we have disagreements. But when people vote against their beliefs because to be minister is a job and you want to stay in the job, that's what they call political corruption and of course financial corruption. So, but as every democracy, and Israel is a very powerful democracy, but there is some negative phenomenon like this. It has enough means to deal with this. And I have no doubt that now there begins a very serious and deep process of getting rid of this negative phenomenon. if elections are today, of course, Likud is coming to power and the head of Likud is forming the government. But the problem is that democracy it also takes time for democracy to work, and it works sometimes slowly. And who knows what will be the next 6 or 9 months before this process will be completed. So there are reasons to be concerned. On the other hand, I say that the reason for optimism is the fact that it's very deep, powerful, and vibrant democracy.
Take 2 more.
Would you make some comments about Russia? Do you see Russia now evolving into, as you would say before, a fear society as opposed to a free society? And can you make some comments about concepts of identity in Russia?
Well, Russia definitely, well, I would be very careful not to call it fear society in the old meaning of the world, because that fear society was built by killing tens of millions of people and by turning at least 5 million of people working systematically on KGB, the secret police. In order to bring back to that type of control over the minds of hundreds of millions of people, you need again, after 15 years of freedom, you have again to kill millions and millions of people. I first of all don't think that Russian leaders are going to do it. They want to do it, and definitely they cannot do it. Today, there is no way to have that type of isolation of Russia from the world as Stalin could have, and then to do whatever he wanted. So I don't think it's on the agenda. Having said all this, no doubt there was very serious retreats from normal democracy. First of all, in the independence of the press, to some extent. Second, in opportunities to compete for different positions in the elections. And third, maybe the most important, independence of the courts is undermined. And courts are less independent than they were only a few years ago. So that's a dangerous phenomenon. And I think that the leaders of the free world, first of all American leaders, have to take into account and make again, as in the past, these questions of human rights important part of their dealings with Russia, and it's not yet happened. Now, we have to understand that the situation becomes more complicated because Russia never in its history was so rich as now, and it's because of oil. What happens now with the oil? And that unfortunately makes it more difficult to occupy. On the other hand, Russia has very ambitious plans and ideas of becoming a superpower. And America, I think, has to demonstrate that welcome to the club, but on some very serious conditions. And I think that if these conditions will be put, you can expect that Russia will accept some of them. The problem is that they are not put. As I said also to your president, rather that with Russia you must have a very big stick and very big carrot. And here you have no carrot and very, very small stick.
I see Iran as a serious threat to Israel. What's your opinion, Mr. Sharansky?
My opinion is that it's a very big threat to all the free world, including Israel. I think that Israel and free world should not permit this, not Iran, but this regime of Iran, to have no conventional weapon and missile. Israel, I was the first minister who was sent to Russia to bring some intelligence that in 10 years Iran can have both nuclear weapons and missiles, and it was in January 1997. And it took a few years for CIA to agree with us, and it took even more years to Europe to agree with us, and now we are very close to it. I think we are not now at the stage when politicians can simply preach that we will not permit it. That's the moment when we should not permit it. And it will be very unfortunate if Israel will be left to act alone on this. Okay?